Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about and unpack a very testy topic and a concept of everyone is you pushed out, sort of a branch of that. And that is, what is an assumption when we're talking about the law of assumption, and why I say it's a bit of a testy topic when it comes to conscious manifesting. And I see this especially in the comment sections because I combine tarot with conscious manifesting, and also I hear this from people that are not familiar with universal law and how it operates. When I talk about that your dominant thoughts and assumptions define or shape your outer reality, people tend to become a bit defensive or feel like it's a blame and shame game. We get a lot of comments like, well, I didn't assume someone would be rude, or that someone would betray me, or someone would lie, or that they would leave me for a third party or ghost me, etc., etc., etc. And so I do know that this is a controversial topic, but I thought that I would talk about this today and actually unpack it for you. And I wanted to explain to you guys, not for the purpose of blaming anyone or finger pointing at all. What is an assumption? How do we form our assumptions? The concept of everyone is you pushed out. And I want to clear up any confusion. And at least my hope is that once you truly understand this concept, then you'll be able to actually empower yourself. And once you understand that every person and situation in your life is actually reflecting your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions, you can actually take back your power and control as the operant power of your personal reality. So let's get you back in the driver's seat so you can actually manifest anything or anyone or any version of anyone that you want. So hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Talsy. I'm a tarot reader and a spiritual coach. And on this channel, I like to combine tarot with manifesting, mindset, and the universal law of assumption to help you break unconscious patterns, shift outcomes, and get your desired results, specifically in your love life. So firstly, I want to talk about the mirror analogy. If you've been into the conscious manifesting game for a while, you would have heard your reality is a mirror. So whatever you think, expect, and assume about self or another is sort of how you're going to experience your reality. Everyone is going to be a mirror to you, the version of you that you're being, your state of consciousness. So, for example, you wouldn't yell at your reflection in the mirror and expect it to change, because you can't change people without first changing your concept of self, who you're being, and therefore also your thoughts and assumptions about the person. So if you assume someone is going to be rude or dismissive, they will, because that assumption is being reflected back to you. And on the flip side, if you assume someone is kind, loving, and supportive, then that is most likely the version of them that you're going to experience. Now, this is all a little bit reductive, right? So let's get into sort of more the nitty-gritty and the subtleties when it comes to our assumptions. So you may be wondering, where do my assumptions even come from? And there are sort of different ways we can actually form them. So I want to outline them for you. First and foremost, outside sources are a big factor. Say your best friend, a coach, a tarot reader, a family member. Someone says something and you accept it without questioning it. And your mind takes that as truth because you trust them and you trust their judgment of what they're saying. We also, secondly, like to gather information through reading, articles, social media. And once our logical mind sees enough of the same concept being reiterated, we form an assumption. Eventually, if we keep repeating a thought, then our mind accepts that as a fact, and our subconscious also takes that as an assumption, and that will become part of our reality. We also have personal experiences, guys. So your brain constantly analyzes situations and forms its own conclusions. So if you experience someone treating you a certain type of a way, you might assume that's how people are, and that becomes your truth. Or in some cases, guys, if you've had trauma or bad experiences in childhood, you form a story about self and an assumption about how people show up, like a blanket assumption. So you're experiencing versions of people that then align with those assumptions. If you assume a certain type of person isn't, for example, the type to settle down, or a person who is unmarried at 50 is a playboy or playgirl, or a person that has a certain type of a look is out of your league, then you're going to find evidence to support your assumption. Or you may meet a person and even like a person, but then your assumption and thoughts will be projected out and that person will confirm the assumption. I've even had clients of my own in private sessions who've told me that they really liked someone and their mother or father told them they're not the type to like you, or they're too good looking for you. That's an example of point number one. So let's talk about free will. Do people have free will in your reality? No, unless you assume that they do. Everyone in your reality is conforming to your thoughts and assumptions. So it may seem like people are making their own choices, but their actions are still being shaped by what you expect and believe about them. If you unconsciously assume that a certain person is the type to do X, Y, and Z, or that a certain person isn't going to want a relationship, for example, or you have an unconscious story about love generally and about self and about how people show up in love, then, for example, the ones you want never want you, or people generally leave you, then people in your reality will conform and they will show up and confirm that assumption to you. Even though people are not robots, and I've explained that previously, they do have their own personalities. Your assumptions override their behavior in your reality. So you're not manipulating or controlling them, you're changing your inner world and they reflect that shift. So I want to talk about how others influence and help us form our assumptions. It's interesting how easily our assumptions can be shaped by outside opinions. Have you ever had a situation where you just really like someone? Say you went on a date and then you were telling your friend about them or your parent. I gave you the example earlier of where this could be the case. And then suddenly that person has expressed doubts to you or told you something blanket about that type of person and you started noticing flaws. Or maybe you've been online and you've been scrolling and seen tons of reels about how like guys in their 20s or 30s are all F-boys or girls guys. And then you've had some kind of a reinforcement. For example, you've gone on dating apps, started going on dates. Say you went on a date with a person you really liked and the date went well. And then the person turns around and says, I'm just not into relationships. And you think, oh, I knew it. So guys, this is an example of how your mind finds evidence in your physical reality to support your beliefs. Your subconscious is actually just bringing it into your experience. And this is why mental diet is so important, or the version of you that you're being and thinking thoughts in alignment with the version that you want to be and having what you want. For example, if you believe that men and women are emotionally unavailable or the types of people that you want tend to be emotionally unavailable, you're going to experience more and more of that. But if you feel that you're a person that is always pursued, loved, adored, committed to, no matter what, the outside's going to reflect that to you. Now, you're not responsible for changing everyone, guys, and this is a hot topic because people tend to get very up in arms about how we are in the conscious manifesting community, you know, encouraging people to go and try to change people that are not showing up correct and violating their boundaries or breadcrumbing them, etc. You do not need to put the focus into changing anyone, and you certainly don't need to put your energy into even wanting to have a person conform. However, the option is available to you if you were to shift your version of self and therefore shift your dominant thoughts and assumptions about that person. The outside must inevitably reflect the version of you that you're being and what you're projecting outwards. Now, in some cases, people are going to show up in a way that is not preferable, and we are not in any way ever trying to manipulate the version of a person that is unpreferable. And having a healthy self-concept is going to put you in a position where you will not necessarily tolerate people showing up in a way that is not preferable. However, I want to empower you by putting you in a position where you understand that if you want to experience better versions of people or versions of relationships, it only requires a shift in consciousness, understanding who you're being, what your dominant thoughts and assumptions are about said subject, person, or self, and shifting those to align with what you prefer and what you desire. So persist in doing that and trust your own power, and reality will reflect back to you whatever state of consciousness or state of being that you're embodying and your dominant thoughts and assumptions. So reality is always responding to that, guys. You have the power to change how people show up by changing your beliefs. People don't have free will to reject you or to leave you. There is no free will in your reality unless you assume there is. You are the operant power. Whatever you assume, whether you're aware or unaware, is what you will experience. So why not become aware of your thoughts and the assumptions you hold about yourself and about others, or about, say, a specific person, and choose assumptions that align with the reality you desire. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos on manifestation and the law of assumption. Or if you'd like to watch tarot, where I talk about how you can shift outcomes and get your preferable results, then please also check them out. You are the creator of your reality. own it, and watch your world transform, guys. Until next time, stay empowered and keep manifesting your dream person, relationship, or reality. Love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one.